And I know you got a lot on your chest that you want to just get off right now.
Yeah. So my timeline filled up with this. People were sending it and wanting to know my opinion, and it was just too much to type. So I'm like, okay, let me just put this out here. But just so for people who haven't heard this is Mike Lombardi talking about the Giants locker room. Hold on.
Daniel Jones, but now you're not going to pay Saquon. You're not going to give Dexter. Everybody in that locker room knows the reason they won wasn't because of Daniel Jones. He had something to do with it, but he didn't carry the team. The players know this. You can't con the players. They know this. And so there it is, right? Chronic feeling of underappreciation. Saquon feels underappreciation. Daniel doesn't, but Saquon does. Dexter does. And so this is what happens. And they didn't win enough, and they're not good enough as a team to be able to kind of go through this. Like, they didn't win a championship. They won 9 freaking games and beat a shitty Minnesota team and got their ass kicked. They're not good enough to have the disease of me. You pay Daniel Jones.
So there it is, folks. So that's Mike Lombardi, good friend. Worked with him, when he was in personnel with the Cleveland Browns. Bucky Brooks, I'll read that. So let me first say, in regards to both.
Let me just give Mike credit. It's called the GM Shuffle Pod.
Okay.
Since we used it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. GM Shuffle Pod by DraftKings, I believe it is. So, so Bucky Brooks and Mike Lombardi, both guys I personally respect, because they've been on both sides of the issue, negotiating contracts as a player and negotiating contracts as a general manager. So I respect the points of view, but I don't necessarily respect, and it's actually a little bit shocking that Mike Lombardi would go with a narrative that is not as informed, and he's just spinning. You can have these theories about locker rooms, and because both guys have either been in a locker room or managed a locker room. And I know that Mike Lombardi knows what a dysfunctional locker room looks like, because he brought Pepper Johnson and I to Cleveland to clean up that shit. It was a disease of me locker room
That was
before
bad.
we got there, right? So I know he knows what disease of me looks like, because he's been there, right? He's been in Oakland, and he had a quarterback there that the players didn't respect. So he knows what it looks like. And the Jamarcus Russell thing was a teachable moment, I'm sure, for him as a professional, right? So he can speak on, in theory, what a dysfunctional locker room is. Bucky Brooks, and both of these guys are Super Bowl champions. Bucky Brooks has been in locker rooms. He's been in a winning locker room, and he's moved around the league a little bit. So he understands the dynamic of locker room. But here's the thing, folks. I haven't seen either one of those guys in the Giants building. Now, Bucky may have been there because he works with the network. I know for certain I haven't seen Mike Lombardi in East Rutherford in a very, very long time, years, not since Joe Shane took the job. So you can speak in theory what some of these things can do. But here's where Mike goes off the rails, because he makes it seem like they paid Daniel Jones and said, screw the other guys. That's not the case.
No, I mean,
Joe
listen,
Shane,
their offer to Barkley was somewhere in the range of around $12 million a year for 3 years. The Barkley side clearly wanted more than that. So at that point, it became a negotiating situation where once they got the Jones deal done, they used the tag on Barkley. The running back market has gone depressed. The Giants pulled that offer off the table, and they're going to do a wait and see. They still want to keep him. And the same thing with Dexter Lawrence. They want to keep Dexter Lawrence.
Dexter's contract is not up yet, is it?
No, he's going to play on the 5th-year option, and
Right.
rightfully so. They want to extend him out
Correct.
to create room. So this is all part of what the business of the
It's
NFL
called
is.
negotiations, number one. But Mike Lombardi knows that. But don't paint this as a dysfunctional locker room. Don't sit and say that Dexter Lawrence feels unappreciated or that Saquon Barkley feels unappreciated. No, they're happy for their teammate because he got his money. Their time is now. This is negotiations. Mike knows what that is. There's no, unless he's talked to those players or those players' agents, then you can't spin like these guys are disgruntled and they're upset because they're not getting their money. I haven't heard Joe Shane, nor have I heard Mr. Mara, Mr. Tisch say, we're all tapped out. We gave Daniel Jones everything we had. We're tapped out, take what we got. It's a process.
Correct. And when Daniel Jones had these workouts in Arizona where he gathered all the receivers and Saquon was working with him.
Yeah.
So
he's not exactly disgruntled.
And there's video of Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams pulling the sled together, like synchronized swimming. So, I mean, yeah. Okay. So the reports are they're not going to show up for the voluntary offseason program, which begins on Monday, until Saquon Barkley signs the franchise tender by collective bargain agreement. He is not obligated to do that. And why would he do that? And why would he sign that at this point in time? He's going to try to use a little bit of leverage to try to get his deal back up to where he wants it to go. Sure. That's it. It's just business. It's not personal. Business. It's business.